I actually, when I was a kid, played football. And when football season was over, I was looking for something to kind of do. And they were passing out flyers for the band program. And so I grabbed one, took it home to my mom. I was like, hey, what do you think about me joining band? We are going through like instrument choices. They're asking me, what do you want to play? And I said, I want to play the flute. And my mom said, son of mine is playing the flute, you're going to play the saxophone. And so that's how I ended up playing saxophone. I remember stories of my mom telling me that I would fall asleep with my saxophone next to me in my bed. And I would practice like all weird times of the night. I would wake up at like midnight and just play like randomly. Never like made me stop or anything like that. So she was super supportive about me wanting to be a musician. I didn't get into like jazz saxophone, like heavily jazz saxophone until I got into high school. And my first private lesson teacher was Michael Emmer. So Michael kind of started me on the path of like listening to Charlie Parker and Hannibal Adderley and learning how to take all these ideas I had in my head for like what to play on the saxophone and kind of hone all that stuff in. I went through my 11th and 12th grade year studying with Michael before he went to William Patterson to do his master's. That's where I met John Ricci. And so I ended up going to JU to do my bachelor's program, and then I don't really think I have like a big breakout gig because I don't consider myself to be like a breakout artist. I still think I'm like fairly unknown. That's completely fine with me. I'm not like the need to be famous type person. But in 2018, I got a Facebook message from Ben Atkins, and Ben was like, hey, I need a saxophone player to play this gig with Marcus Preno. So Marcus came into town and played with him at the Parlor. And then very shortly after that, it was like the New Year's Eve, Delphio Marsalis came to town, and I got to play with him on his New Year's Eve gig. And that January, I went to New Orleans, and Delphio was playing at Snug Harbor. So I sent Delphio a text message. I was like, hey, I see you're playing at Snug Harbor. Is there like any cover or anything to get in? He was like, nah, just bring your horn. So I get there. Turns out his second alto player had another gig that night. He had to leave for the second set. So I walk in and he like waves me up on the stage. So I played the entire second set with Delphio's Uptown Orchestra. I guess you can say that was kind of like I'm starting to do some things. So I play in far too many groups actually. My main like 4 groups are John Lumpkin and the Covenant, Old City Classics, which is one of the premier like corporate bands of this area, Let's Ride Brass Band, and the Raising Cape Corps. The biggest issue I have with any of my brass players is always not putting enough air to the horn. So like I'm getting brass players that only sound like because they don't know how to accelerate that air, so I'm constantly saying that. I don't really have a set way that I pick songs. I kind of think about, I try to challenge myself in some way when I'm playing shows. I always try to introduce new music that I know the audience may not have heard, but it's also fun for the band. Just putting together a collection of music that I think is going to create an atmosphere that we can all enjoy. I don't play my saxophone at all the day of the gig before I show up to a venue. I know it's probably weird to like say that. It's just that I've never believed in the notion that you should practice the day of the gig. I don't have like a pre-gig meal or anything like that. I can't eat right before I play because I feel stuffed. I didn't get a professional level saxophone until I play now, which is a John Ledbetter custom series, who's based in New York, but he started making saxophones probably about like 7 or so years ago. And these horns are like some of the best horns I've ever played in my life. Like the action's great, the intonation is great, the horn kind of just plays itself. That's my alto setup. For a mouthpiece, I play on a Bamber. I bought it from Michael Emmer actually, because if you want to buy a mouthpiece in Jacksonville, you just go to Michael Emmer because he has 1,000 of them basically. For reeds, I use the Boston Sax Shop Black Label 3.5. It kind of depends on where I am. So the majority of the tunes that I've recorded, I've written on piano. I've always written chord structures first, and I write melodies that fit the chords. There are some songs that I've written on saxophone. Like one that comes to mind is the very first track on my album, Focus, was one that it's a pentatonic pattern that I was playing in my living room. And so I was like, oh, this sounds like would be a cool tune idea. But yeah, that's pretty much the process. I start out on piano, write chords first, and then write melodies after that. My morality wouldn't let me keep it. I would have to go turn it in and pray and pray and pray on the way there that nobody claims it so I can come back and get it later. I'm really into boxing and I'm really into competitive shooting. Shooting, I got into around 2022. It actually stemmed from safety reasons. I ended up buying a gun. Really, when I buy stuff, I kind of like over research it. Went down this huge rabbit hole of like proper form for shooting and competition shooting and all this stuff. I finally did like my first like mock competition a couple months ago. It's definitely something that I want to like continue to pursue. I try to go to the gun range probably like a couple times a month to kind of keep myself sharp and stuff like that. So those are kind of like my two hobbies: boxing, shooting, and then playing video games when I have time. Couple people. Obviously, want to give a shout out to my wife. She's probably one of the most supportive people I've ever met in my life. Like, she's actually the one who's always on me about like, hey, you need to post something on Instagram today. You know, people need to hear you playing and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'm not a social media person. She was like, I'll be your social media person. Just give me a video and I'll post it for you. So she's always like trying to push me forward to do stuff, even if it's stuff that I'm naturally uncomfortable with. So she's great about that. My mom, for obviously getting me started on this journey that has completely like changed what I thought the scope of my life was going to be. All of the musicians who I've met along the way, who have taught me something, who have performed with me, who have let me suck on their gigs, and and who have given me a shot. Thank you to all of those people.